We've actually never seen this thing, to my knowledge, in its own natural habitat. So this is the first in situ, in its own natural habitat observations.
At Ocean Exploration Trust, we collect thousands of hours of footage of our exploration of the deep sea, and sometimes we don't even realize what we've caught on camera until many years later. This is an example of that. In 2019, we were exploring an unnamed seamount near Jarvis Island, and we caught a shark on camera, which was really cool. We didn't know what kind of shark it was. Fast forward until very recently, and researchers at the DARC Lab have identified it as a goblin shark, which is a discovery that not only changes a lot of what we know about goblin sharks, but really puts into perspective the importance of our footage. So here to talk about it is Aaron Judah. Aaron, hi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey Jamie, thank you so much for having me. My name is Aaron Judah. I'm a deep sea biologist and explorer. My research focuses on how species in our oceans contribute to the overall health of the ocean, but also to humanity through things like cultural value and fisheries. But currently I'm a PhD candidate in the Deep Sea Fish Ecology Lab at University of Hawai'i at Manoa and in the Deep Sea Animal Research Center. The DARC Lab is a group of marine researchers that specialize in annotating and identifying animals. So when you all are out there collecting this amazing imagery on your expeditions, it comes back to us and we annotate and identify all of the animals that we're seeing. So everyone here has training, taxonomic training to some extent in various groups of animals, from fishes to sponges to corals, and then we output this data onto databases for people to access. So it's a really, really cool group, and it means we get to watch a lot of just amazing videos of deep sea animals all the time, which is a dream. So yeah.
That's so cool. I think you probably see so many amazing things, including what we're here to talk about today, this sighting of a goblin shark. Could you tell us, what was it like the first time you saw it? What was your initial reaction?
So I was shocked. So Sarah Bingo, who's one of our research associates here in the DARC Lab, mentioned anecdotally, like, oh yeah, at one point, there was this really big shark, I think it was a goblin shark that we saw. And I was, like, my background is in shark work. So I was shocked because I know that the goblin shark has only been really observed, confirmed, on the eastern and western coast of the Pacific. We've not seen this species in the central Pacific, let alone in seamount ecosystems in the central Pacific. And then I went to go and confirm the ID. It was a goblin shark, and that was just, it was very cool. I'm used to seeing amazing stuff on expedition, but even, at my desk on a normal day, I get to see really cool stuff. That was really exciting, and the whole team was really, really excited to see it as well.
So how could you positively ID it as a goblin shark?
Identifying animals from imagery is really difficult. We don't have access to genetics. We don't have the actual specimen in front of us to look at all of the morphology and all of the traits that we use usually. But the goblin shark is super unique by its characteristics. It has this enormous snout that we think is used for, looking for prey on the bottom. It's full of these little pores called the ampullae of Lorenzini, and that is the key trait that we use. There's no other shark or ray that has that specific characteristic. And if you look at the saw sharks and saw fishes, they have little teeth and things on it. So it's a completely different kind of morphology. Of any of the deep sea sharks, I think the goblin shark is probably the most iconic that we see in the deep ocean, period.
And I know some of my colleagues were actually on this expedition and sitting in the control van at ROV Nautilus when this happened. And the shark goes by so fast that I don't think any of them were able to identify it as a goblin shark in that moment. So I think that's what the benefit of this later on annotation, where you can pause and zoom in and really investigate.
Yeah, it's great. So like the fact that we have all of this video data available to us, it's super cool that we got the chance to look at this again and realize that it was actually, for this species, one of the more larger discoveries about the goblin shark that we've had over, the time that we've known it existed.
What makes this discovery so special?
We've actually never seen this thing, to my knowledge, in its own natural habitat. So this is the first in situ, in its own natural habitat observations, which is it's insane that after all of these years, and even a lot of deep sea exploration, we haven't seen it happily in its own ecosystem. So this is the first observation of that. That's pretty cool. Second, this is a massive range extension. We've only seen it on the eastern and western coast. Now we know that they can traverse and exist in the central Pacific. Now we need to understand where and how much does it use these habitats? Is it always on seamounts? Do they go up into the water column? Do they travel over ocean basins? Where are they actually traveling to, A, and B, how much they actually use these habitats? If we don't know how their residency or how much they're using seamounts or slope habitats, it's really hard to enact management or even further study their things like diets or, their reproduction or their population structure. So that's a big extension of what we know about it geographically. And then it further confirms the use of seamounts as important habitat. And then what we did actually is we paired this observation by Nautilus with a group at the University of Western Australia, led by Alan Jamieson, who worked in the Tonga Trench. And he had an observation of the goblin shark after the one on the Nautilus that was found deeper than anyone had ever previously seen it. So the goblin shark's maximum depth for the longest time was about 1,300 meters. Now we know it can go down to nearly 2,000 meters, which makes it the deepest living mackerel shark or lamniform shark. So, think of white sharks, makos, threshers, basking sharks. The goblin shark we've extended the depth range for an entire order of fishes. So that's not just this species, but it increases our knowledge on an enormous group of animals.
Yeah, we don't really know a lot about them. I feel like some people don't even know that they're real. Like they're almost like unicorns in some way. Like what?
Well, that snout, for sure they're unicorns.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's so exciting and unique about them? Why do you like them?
It's so weird, it's almost funny. Like, what? The goblin shark can shoot out its mouth with its special slingshot feeding method to grab prey. Because of its unique characteristics and the way it feeds, it probably plays a really unique role in the ecosystem as a top predator, but we really don't know its full extent. In the history of sharks and rays, it's really evolutionarily distinct among them, and it's like a last living representative of a really cool and unique group of sharks. It's a reminder of the amazing evolutionary history of these, sharks and rays have been around for 420 million years plus. These things are incredibly ancient group of animals. And this is such a cool part of that history that is still with us today. And that really gets me excited as someone who studies the roles of animals.
I think this really speaks to the importance of collaboration within deep sea exploration and science.
Sure.
There's so much left to see, so much we need to see. And so every photo we take, every piece of footage we take is going to be incredibly important for years to come, because we're going to discover new things and we're going to collaborate with other people discovering new things. And I guess that's what your paper is all about.
Ocean exploration and deep sea discovery is a team sport. One person, no way, can do it all. This is like hundreds and hundreds of, if not thousands of people that make this stuff happen. And when we can put records like this together, the messaging of this work becomes all the more powerful. So I think, deep sea is already a place of immense collaboration between people, but I can see now as we're expanding exploration and discovery and working with people and communities across the world, across all continents, I feel like this is now really a golden era of deep sea exploration and massive collaborations between scientists and communities from all parts of the world.
Could you tell us a little bit more about this paper?
So this paper brought on a team of scientists from many different places, and it was basically a goal to report the 2 range extensions, depth extension, first live observations, and then some anecdotal information on the habitats this goblin shark uses. And I feel like this paper is very basic ecology in its nature, in that it is literally just presenting observational information at its bare bones component. What wasn't really covered in the paper, and what I kind of hope it's going to be used for, and I'm sure you're wondering this as well, is what's the conservation, component? What does this help towards conservation? We have deepening fisheries, we have potential deep sea mining on the horizon, and we have climate change. The thing is when we're doing biodiversity assessments, we need to know what animals are there. For the longest time now, goblin sharks have not been a part of the biodiversity assessments in the Central Pacific or parts of the Western Pacific. So this basically brings goblin sharks to the table for these areas for conservation and for, the conservation of seamounts, for example, as well. It's important that we get a full sense of all the different animals that could be there, and then how to maximize conservation to support them under human impacts.
And what's really exciting about it to me is that it feels like an ongoing adventure. Seeing it live is just the first step. And then we get so much information out of that. And then there's other people who look at our footage and they get more information. I think that's where the importance of annotation comes in. So can you describe kind of the annotation process and how that works and why that was critical to this discovery?
So the annotation process is we get the videos here in the DARC Lab and we are going through images, identifying animals, and I think this is how we manage the deep ocean for conservation, and we give those baseline information to managers, to groups, the government, to make decisions. Because, we have basic training in many different groups, but there are global experts that dedicate their entire lives to just brittle stars or sponges or a certain group of sea stars or a certain group of sharks, and these are the true experts on these areas. And I think if we want to conserve or study the deep ocean, we need a record of ocean exploration. And I think now is the time, with unprecedented media presence and the ability to connect people across the world, we need to show people just how cool and amazing, sometimes goofy, and important the deep sea is. So I think OET and other groups like it that are really giving all of this amazing media and science and also opportunities for students like me or community members across the world to actually see the deep sea or to engage in science like this. And I think OET really does a fantastic job getting people to care, because you are taking them to the deep sea from the comfort of their own homes. And I think that's just exactly what we need in such, a time of change for the deep sea.
So what's next for this information, for goblin shark research, for your research?
I think, for this information, my hope is that there's a group, the IUC and the International Union for Conservation of Nature. They have a shark specialist group that does all the shark assessments around the world for conservation. We know that 1/7 of all deep sea sharks are already threatened with extinction. That is from this group. And I hope that this information is critical for them updating their goblin shark assessment so they can start to include it more into larger scale shark conservation research efforts and communications.
Well, Aaron, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been such a fun topic to talk about. We love nothing more than ocean discovery here. I think it's in our name, it's in our mission statement. That's what we love to do. And this has just been an excellent example of that and a wonderful conversation. So thank you so much for talking to us today.
Mahalo, Jamie. I'm so happy to be here with y'all and keep talking about really cool deep sea exploration. Really love the work that y'all do, so this is super fantastic. Thank you so much again for having me. Mahalo.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us to talk about goblin sharks, deep sea footage, annotation, and all things ocean exploration. Make sure you're subscribed and following along as we get ready to explore the deep sea even more.